Hey kids, do you want to actually hold infinite cosmic power in the palm of your hand this time? Well, unlike last episode, I'm going to show you how this time. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman, and welcome back to the channel.
Unicorn Overlord.
Hello everyone, if you enjoy what I do, my coverage of Unicorn Overlord, the gaming sphere in general, and just the type of community that we have around here, then a like on this video and a subscription to the channel would be very much appreciated. Thank you all so much. So what is the topic of the video today? Well, if you saw yesterday's episode, then you might already have an idea. It's my Trinity Reign build. I know I'm not the first one on this, but got a big audience around here, and people do like to hear about how they can absolutely devastate one's enemies, so I figured I should put together a little guide on what Trinity Reign is, what this build is, and why it is so devastatingly powerful. As you might have seen in the intro clip there, it crushes, and I'm expecting to be able to cruise through a good chunk of the game riding on the back of this. So, what is Trinity Reign? Trinity Reign is an ability that comes from the Millennium Scepter. This is a very powerful magical rod, gives 24 magic attack, and the Trinity Reign ability. Trinity Reign, if you did not know, is a magic attack, has 100 potency, a hit count of 3, and a 100% hit rate. It is a ranged charge skill, so it takes a round of combat to charge up, unless, and we're going to talk about that in a second, it attacks all enemies with magic, and the user cannot evade or use passive skills while charging. Not that that's actually a concern here. Where do you get this Millennium Scepter? I will show you. Go to any of the churches that are scattered around the map where you turn in your divine shards, and you will be able to find it fairly quickly. We'll go over here to this one in Cornea, because it's the first one that caught my eye. Rondemort Church, the very first one you've ever seen, and if you scroll all the way down, you'll find it here. The Millennium Scepter, which is available for, if I remember correctly, 40 divine shards. Now, what is very important about the Millennium Scepter is the fact that, again, it is a charge skill. So nominally, it would take a full round of combat in which whatever character you have wielding the staff and casting the spell is vulnerable to attack. That's where the second piece comes in, and conveniently, it's right next to the Millennium Scepter in the Divine Shard shop. It's the white cat ear hood. This gives the quick impetus ability. It is an accessory. Also costs 40 shards, if I'm remembering correctly. Activates after an ally uses an active skill, and allows an ally to act again, granting the target +1 AP. That +1 AP is not really what we're worried about here. What's important is the fact that you get to act again immediately. Notably, the white cat ear hood also gives you a base +1 to your passive points and +10 initiative. Not that the initiative part really matters, it's the base PP that matters, because it does cost 4 to use, which is quite pricey. Once you have these two items, you're well on your way to success already. We'll go over here and take a look at my squad. Thank you, Miss Angel. Please stop talking to me. So, here in Elaine's squad, these are our two most important members, Valerie and Luana. Everyone else here is just support, but we'll talk about why their support is valuable in a second. First off, Valerie the Sorceress is the one equipped with the Millennium Scepter. She also has a Lapis Pendant to make sure she has extra passive points, a Sorcerer's Medallion to give her extra magic attack percentage and crit rate, and then a Carnelian Pendant to make sure that she actually has the points she needs to cast Trinity Reign. Pretty much everything that she has on her is superfluous in terms of tactics, except for Trinity Reign and Quick Cast, a specific to Witch ability, and it's part of the reason that I'm using a Sorceress here for this build. Quick Cast activates at the start of a battle. It costs 2 passive points. It grants the user max initiative for their next action and minus 50% critical rate. So, the battle will start, and because this is an activate at start of battle ability, Quick Cast will immediately activate, give us maximum initiative, and we'll begin casting Trinity Reign. Now, it's a little bit of a shame that we lose 50% critical rate, but don't you worry. We're going to talk about that as well. So, the match starts off immediately, and you're seeing some clips here as I talk about this as well. And we immediately begin casting Trinity Reign. Then, the second part of the combo kicks in with Luana here, our Were-Owl. You could have the white cat ear hood on anybody, by the way, but I like to have it here on Luana because of an ability that we're going to talk about in a second. Quick Impetus will then trigger because we used an active skill. And it will always be Valerie's active skill that triggers first because of the Quick Cast ability. Quick Impetus will then activate, causing Valerie to immediately take another action. This will mean she will finish charging Trinity Reign and begin to cast it. Actually, the attack is going to come out. The second thing that happens here is our backup sorceress, Renee. She has the ability Sorcerer's Connection. Activates before an ally uses a magical attack, grants an ally plus 50% magic attack, and grants the user minus 50% magic attack. This is coming off of the Familiar's Choker, an item that you can buy in Yana the Witch's town down in the swamps that you'll have encountered early in the game. And the idea here is buff our damage with Trinity Rain as much as possible, so that way we don't have to worry about the fact that Renee is going to deal no damage, because hopefully Valerie is just going to clean up pretty much everything on the enemy team. She will then cast Trinity Rain, but in response to that cast, Soul, our sergeant, will activate her Keen Call. Keen Call activates before an ally attacks, grants 100% critical rate for an ally's next attack. So you'll remember that whole we lose 50% of our crit rate because of quick cast. Well, it doesn't matter what percentage crit rate you have if you have another ability that just guarantees that you're going to crit. So now, we have had over 4 actions take place between 4 different characters that all lead into Trinity Rain absolutely massacring the entire enemy force. I have used this to carve through huge chunks of the arena. I have used this to carve through huge chunks of enemies on the battlefield. And there's, like, yeah, investment involved in getting your team set up for it, but it's nigh impossible to stop. Some things that you do have to keep an eye out for is you can only have one start of battle ability to activate. So if you dared to put something like, say, a Swordmaster in this squad, let's pull up one of our Swordmasters here. If they were going to use any of their abilities that activate at the start of the fight, like, say, Hastened Strike, they would overlap, and only one would be able to trigger because it is a limited trait ability. So, to make sure that your quick cast is what's going to activate, and to make sure that you're not missing out on any potential damage from other types of characters who won't fit into the squad, either don't put characters like Swordmasters in the squad to begin with, or make sure that any activate at start of battle abilities they have are disabled. This is something that I had to keep in mind since I have Elaine in the squad as a kind of cleanup finisher. He does have the ability Rapid Order that activates at the start of a battle and grants all allies plus 20 initiative, but I wanted to make sure that we would never get outsped, so I'd rather just have Valerie boost her own initiative to max, rather than Elaine boosting the entire squad's initiative. In reality, it does not matter what the squad's initiative is here, because everything is triggered by the fact that we are quick casting to get Valerie going immediately, and everyone else's abilities activate in response. Now, what happens if the Trinity Rain actually does not finish off all of the enemies? Well, we're still fine. Luana the Were-Owl has the next highest initiative in the party after Elaine. She is going to wind up then casting Limited Heal. Restores minor HP to all allies above their limits. So now, if we've managed to not actually finish off all the enemies and we're potentially in danger of being attacked, Luana is going to give everyone an HP buff so that they're even harder to take down. Renee has the Telluric Staff, giving her Earthquake, so she can AoE stun the entire enemy party, so long as there aren't flyers. Soul has, of course, the ability to give extra crits to other allies. She can evade attacks. She can deal damage herself. And, of course, we have Elaine here with the whole Unicorn Blade, so he can just spinning edge through whatever's left of the enemy force, and more likely than not, get a free crit off of it with Keen Call from Soul the Sergeant. Can you see why this is kind of disgusting? Can you see why this is just absolutely disgusted busted? Because it is, and it's pretty great. It might actually be overkill to have Elaine in this squad, but I do like to have a cavalry unit in the head here, so that way we can charge forward and get into position to nuke whatever it is that we need to hit really, really hard with Trinity Rain. Do I think this is going to carry me through the entire game? I don't think so, no. I'm sure there are going to be enemies that are able to counter this in some form or fashion. Things like Radiant Knights with their magic shields. I know that there's actually some magic counter abilities that Feather units are going to have later on in Albion, because we've seen a little bit of a sneak peek of them in the bad end version of the final mission that I accidentally triggered way back near the start of our Let's Play. There's going to be things that we need to keep in mind here, and I haven't actually encountered yet something like, say, a Thief with their ability, where is it here? These guys with Sneaking Edge. Activates at the start of a battle, attack a single enemy with a first strike, inflicts Guard Seal and Passive Seal. I don't actually know how this interacts with Trinity Rain. In fact, let's test that really quick, because we could potentially run into a scenario where your Trinity Rain caster accidentally gets assassinated. But let's see what happens with this. I have the distinct feeling that we're just going to wind up detonating them anyway, but we'll see. Okay, I see the issue here. So, because the Thief attacked, our Were-Owl used Barrier to prevent that attack from going through. So she actually lost the passive points that she needed in order to force through Trinity Rain. However, even so, you can see we're still tanking perfectly fine. Elaine is a very solid tank. Sergeants are pretty tanky as well. We've got heals, so we can still just wait for the Trinity Rain to cast. I'm actually kind of glad that I thought to test this here, because I was not considering the possibility of our Wereowl losing the points that she needed to cast her haste until she, like, would potentially lose it due to a barrier. So I'm glad that we tested this. This is good. Then we get the Earthquake to stun. Actually finish off Berengaria, funnily enough. Let's see, then there's the crit. Okay, so this is why it's important to test these types of things. If you haven't been testing your squads in mock battles, it is absolutely vital that you do so. Let's switch this here. I do not want there to ever be a situation where we cast Circle Barrier here. And so now let's try this again. I get the distinct feeling this is going to work out far better this time. And this is why things like even busted combos like this are never just a guarantee for success in Unicorn Overlord. There's always something that could happen that you're going to make sure that you adapt for and account for to make sure that your strategy actually works out the way that you want. But now we can see huge damage. What's nice about this as well is it can burn evades because it hits 3 times. So anything like a Thief or a Werefox, which is part of the reason I wanted to test against this squad as well, will just chunk through all of the evades and then make the rest of your squad even more capable of cleaning them up. So even if you're not actually getting the kill here, you're still making them extremely vulnerable, which is nice. And there you have it. That is how you can hold the infinite cosmic power of the universe in the palm of your hand and rain unholy fire down upon your enemies with a fairly easy to put together little combo. It can take a while to get all the pieces that you need. It is definitely a mid to late game ability, but knowing now how to do it should help you out a lot. If you've been having a hard time getting through the arena to be able to recruit, everyone's favorite giant greatsword wielding waifu, then you can use this to help with that. If you're having a hard time getting through particular battles in the campaign, you can use this for that. I imagine it's going to be extremely helpful to all of you. With that said, though, I'm going to wrap this one up here. Thank you all so much for watching. I do very much appreciate it. If you have even further optimizations for a squad like this, drop it in the comments down below so that people can see what it is that they can do to make their squads even stronger and so that I can modify mine as well. If you have any other suggestions for other types of combo builds that I should look into without necessarily spoiling things that come in like Albion and beyond, since I've not seen it yet, by all means, please let me know that as well. And if you're looking forward to other entries in, say, my comprehensive unit overview or my class tier lists or things like that, both are in the works and should be out and ready to go in the next couple of days. So lots of good stuff still to come on the channel. With all that said, though, my name has been Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman. I hope you all have a good night. Stay safe and healthy out there. And remember, be good to each other. Bye now.